Overnight, the Detroit Lions sent a very, very clear message to the Pittsburgh Steelers and to everybody else in free agency that is considering a defensive back. Go get them. And the Steelers should listen. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. And today, we're talking about the very, very, very clear message that the Detroit Lions sent to the Pittsburgh Steelers and everybody else in the NFL that said that there is and there never will be this high market value on all safeties. There might be a safety signing that makes the bank, and Jesse Bates was that guy this year. The big contract, the record-breaking numbers, the Minkah Fitzpatrick style deal, just like Minkah got a year ago. But overall, the safety market is the safety market, and it has always been this way, and it will always be this way, and it is never very good. And that stinks for the players. It stinks for guys like Terrell Edmonds, but at the same time, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it is a sign that they need to stop holding back because they are not missing out on anything because of money. They're missing out on things because they are too afraid to approach players with smaller contracts. There is no point in waiting around for Terrell Edmonds if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a sign to say, hey, look it, there are people on this market. There are free agents available. There are players with bigger upside than the guy that we currently had. And we should, as an organization, at least try to upgrade the position. Don't get me wrong. Terrell Edmonds is a starter quality, very capable player in the NFL. I think he's good. I think he's improved over the last 2 years dramatically. He still doesn't have ball skills, but he plays the rest of the role very well. And in Pittsburgh, he fits exactly what they're looking for him to do because they've developed that role specifically to him. But in the grand scheme of things, there are certainly more upside potential driven candidates than Terrell Edmonds. Still on the market right now are Garner Johnson, Taylor Rapp, Adrian Amos, Duron Harmon, and LaMarcus Joyner, Jonathan Owens, AJ Moore, Amari Watts. There are names. There are bigger names. Not the biggest, but guys like Garner Johnson bring plenty of capability and honestly fit very well in what the Pittsburgh Steelers do as a defense. There's also guys that might come to the open market that are currently being paid a hell of a lot more money than what the market suggests they are worth. A year after an all-pro performance, the Tennessee Titans are asking Kevin Byard to take a pay cut, and he's saying no. And according to reports, that could mean that he's on his way to the open market, and even if he wants to finish his career in Tennessee, it doesn't look like he's going to. But at 29 years old and still plenty left in the tank, coming off a 4-interception season, he's got 9 interceptions in the last 2 years, and an all-pro first team. He's not going to hit the market any higher than anybody else. He's not going to come out here and look for a $10+ million deal. You want to know why? Because CJ Gardner-Johnson came out and signed an $8 million one-year deal with the Detroit Lions just to say, yeah, it's a great deal for me. $8 million is great. I believe 6 of it is guaranteed. And if that's the market that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to look at to say, hey, this is where we're going to sign a safety, they have the means and they should go get that done. Because at this point in time, they have their offensive line. They've already signed 2 big-name offensive linemen. Kevin Dotson's likely on his way out through a trade. They have 2 starting linebackers, and they have their eyes set on a 3rd in the NFL draft. They went and got their future Hall of Fame corner to develop the younger corner that they're expected to take in the draft. They re-signed DeMonte KZ and they re-signed Larry Ogunjobi. And right now, yeah, they need some defensive line help, and they could certainly use a player or 2 in that department. But safety and that 3rd safety look is still wide open. And even if KZ is the starter right now, I doubt that he signed without the conversation that chances are they're going to bring in somebody else. And if that somebody is a shoot for the stars type of candidate, it makes all the sense in the world for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've waited on this in years past. They've watched the Tyrann Mathieu slip out of their hands. They've watched other names go here and go there because they didn't have the cap space. They didn't have the authority to go out and try to get a deal done. On top of that, their defense has been a very, very rocky roller coaster the last couple of years. And they've had a quarterback that was aging and the offense was underperforming. And eventually they hit a point where it looked like it should have been a rebuild year. And even if Pittsburgh Steelers fans and the Pittsburgh Steelers community is not calling it one, the Steelers went through a little bit of a gap in success, a gap in Super Bowl capability. We'll call it that. Guys weren't going to come here. But Patrick Peterson said it himself. The Steelers have a young, good quarterback who provided plenty of pizzazz, a defense that looks very, very good, and a head coach that showed everybody last year, we are not dead if I am in control. So guys want to come here. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nate Herbig said it best. It's the Steelers. You have the pitch. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the means. At this point, it's just about, are you willing to go out and try to make a big name signing during the second week of free agency? Or are you content with letting the market shake out and then the Steelers go and they grab Terrell Edmonds after he doesn't get a big deal and he falls back into their market? That's the question. That's the question for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, they could go through the NFL draft and grab a guy like Brian Branch in the first round, and this solves everything. Or they could be waiting for a guy like Kevin Berard to hit the open market so that they could go out and sign him. And they're saying, hey, that's our guy, and we're going to wait on this one. And the second that report came out, Omar Khan and Andy Weidel and Mike Tomlin were sitting around going, yep, we're just gonna sit back. We're gonna let that work out. And then when he hits the market, we're gonna go get him. No one necessarily knows where their head is and what direction they're willing to take, but the message is so clear, and it's clear for like the third year in a row. The Pittsburgh Steelers should not be waiting around longer than they need to, because right now, I believe John Jones, Adrian Amos, maybe a couple of those names are only the ones worth out and making a splash for immediately. But in the grand scheme of things, the Pittsburgh Steelers should take their foot off the brake when it comes to signing a safety, because the deals that have gone out have not been anything extraordinary. All of them have been within their budget. All of them have been very, very easy signings to make. And all of them have shown that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the ability to go out and get a guy for, a little bit of money, but not a ton of money. Not Larry Ogunjobi money, not Patrick Peterson money, just a little bit of money. And they are very capable and very much at a point in their timeline where having a star defensive back next to already a star defensive back and working with a guy in KZ who could be a star defensive back, that's a game changer for their defense. And that's not an opportunity you should pass on, because this team's window is open. We've talked about that. This team's window is open, but the defense will ride that success. The defense will determine how far this team can go, because the offense is still working its way there. And I don't know. If a guy like CJ Gardner-Johnson is signing a 1-year, $8 million deal to go head to Detroit and play for Dan Campbell, somebody out there is looking at Mike Tomlin going, I'd do the same for you, if not cheaper. And I think the top two choices right now are very clear. It's obviously John Johnson, and then it's obviously waiting for Kevin Berard. And if either one of those two happen, the Pittsburgh Steelers have listened to the message that has been sent, and they have adjusted their outlook, and they have won another week of free agency. But if they do not listen and they have their mind set on waiting and seeing who the cheapest option is, they are stuck in the old. And so far, they have shown that they're looking to move to the new when it comes to their approach in the open market. That's what Omar Khan is bringing. And let's hope that he follows this trend as well, because it's an easy one to jump on board with, and it's an easy one to not have to worry about and try to make some splash in.